Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Jeremy Burgess.
You're listening to The Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey,
Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm an interesting little hybrid. I'm a real estate agent, real estate investor, and have a podcast of my own. I don't really fit the typical realtor formula, but I do a little bit of everything. And my business actually is mostly with other investors, other real estate agents, mostly single family. About 50% in Detroit and 50% in the suburbs. A lot of flipping, a lot of rentals, a lot of wholesaling, that side of it. Although I do have two buyers agents now, we're doing more and more buyer
Nice.
retail as well. And I mostly just focus on the listing aspect. So take a lot of listings, sell a lot of properties.
That's awesome. So when you were younger, is this what you had planned for your future? What do you how did you get into where you're at now?
Oh man, I gotta try and make this as succinct as possible. So no, this was not on the agenda. In fact, being a real estate agent, I was never going to be a real estate agent. I have a low opinion of real estate agents, and that hasn't changed much since I became one. But I kind of got pressed into a corner. I started a long time ago as a real estate investor. Moved out to Michigan in 2007 to actually take advantage of what I still think is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime. You know, I had to go east to go west, so to speak, from Washington State. And in time for it to crash, lose all my money the first time, but we were buying, fixing, flipping, buying, fixing, renting, buying, fixing, land contracts. And I did a bunch of those, got tied up with corrupt nonprofit and made a bunch of bad decisions with them. Ended up losing everything the second time. One of those guys actually went to jail. This is very succinct.
Oh, wow.
Kind of had to start all over again and started wholesaling, which for those who are agents who don't know what wholesaling is, it's I go out, I put a property under contract, and then I go sell that contract mostly to other investors, although you can sell to homeowner too for cash or conventional if you have the right lender, right? So, but mostly investors. And I really like that. I did that for 2 years. For my personality, it's I had a great teacher, I think, Steve Lundo. Shout out, bro. Amazing teacher. Is if you're very goal oriented and aggressive and don't like being told what to do, but you have to be able to withstand like a high level of failure. But the payoff is great in wholesale deals. So did that for like 2.5 years, but the problem I noticed was how to scale that business, which is a long-winded way of how I ended up being a real estate agent. Because my good friend Joe Delia, shout out Joe, he's just been constantly trying to recruit me since he's known me. That's just Joe, always recruit, be an agent. I'm like, why would I be an agent? I won't even tell you the things I said to him. But anyway, when your push comes to shove, he made a good point. He's like, hey, agents have figured out how to expand and how to grow. And I didn't know any wholesalers, especially at the time, who had grown their business. I was like, all right, I failed at 2 businesses. I've tried to expand this wholesale business and I failed certain times. I might just have to like take a step back and figure this out. So as weird as it sounded, I went to become a real estate agent to kind of learn how to get some scale to the wholesale side. And I made a goal of myself because I knew I wasn't going to like it, that I had to do it for at least 3 years before I quit.
Wow.
And I'm glad I did because I really didn't like it, but I grew to like it. I focused just on listings. And I think I joined a great team with the Delia Group too. They were very focused on systems and customer service. And I was like, oh, okay. So I could figure this out. I just got to do this new thing. So instead of getting wholesale contracts, I do, hey, I'm getting exclusive listing contracts. I decided not to do any buyers, just focus on the listing, which was kind of a pain in the ass for the first 6 to 8 months, but totally worked out later. And then the more I did it, even though I didn't like it, the more I liked it. And then, hey, now I'm going to say some nice thing about realtors. So I'm just not trashing them. They do have better systems in places and they have better, well thought out CRMs. And There's a lot more resources you can use to hire things out to help you in your business. It's a lot more. So I start learning all those. Time passes. I go on my own way, start Renegade Realty Group, mostly because I'm generally not a good fit for most people. A little too aggressive, definitely more oriented, more value oriented, that kind of thing. And I've enjoyed it ever since. Learning lots of hard lessons, right? That never seems to end. But it's a long to get you where I was at. What did I do when I got to school? I joined the United States Navy. Program. I went on subs, machinist mate nuclear. I did not like that. I kind of floated between jobs, college for 3 weeks, realized really quickly wasn't for me at all. Had a bunch of shit jobs or crap jobs, sorry. Met my wife, which is really what made me think about the future and start real estate, which is how I got in it at all, right? I'll still be fishing and hunting out there in Washington, making no money. It's always a beautiful woman that gets you to think about the future and apply yourself a little bit more. So that's how we ended up where I am at today, doing an mix of realtor stuff, investor stuff.
Okay.
That's awesome. So tell us about your first property that you wholesaled.
Oh man, I didn't even know it was wholesaling. You're going to love this. So you go to seminars and you read books, right? But I've always been better at doing this than actually sitting down and now up planning, mostly because I get people, but I'm a good action-oriented person. So, hey, we're going to go do these things. So during crash in 2007, I had one property under contract for months, but I had it at such a deal that even though the market was hardcore from July, it's just down, it was still a good deal. And I was like, no money. We're losing to all of our flips are going under. Our house that was worth 120,000 is not even worth 30,000 by September. And I got this house on Ardmore. I won't say the address, but I remember the ad. We'll sell this house twice. And we need to sell this house to somebody. Here, somebody wanted to buy it. I have it under contract, no way to buy it. So I'm I need to sell it before I buy it, without wholesaling. So my wife and I download a list. It was from a website. I think it was reaclub.com or something. And it had all real estate clubs across America. And we went through and we picked the states with the highest median. It was California, New Jersey, Florida, places you would expect. And we just start cold faxing back then. There wasn't texting and cold emailing until we guy Scott from San Francisco. He was like, yeah, I think I actually want to buy that. It looks like still don't know what I'm doing. Unnamed title company because I don't know about wholesaling. So I don't know about an assignment, doing a double close, but we're going to use, which we shouldn't, to do the close. I didn't know any better again, but we're just trying to make some stuff happen. Right.
Yep,
anyway, long story short, a couple of weeks pass and I'm $3,700 richer, which that might as well have been at that time $1 to us.
Yeah.
We're eating ramen and eggs. And I just did this, the 2007 crash. We just moved out here and hey, we got $3,700. And to me, I made money out of thin air somehow. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I can do this. Cause I thought back home, we just come out and fail immediately, tuck our tail between our legs to go out. That was our first wholesale deal. I didn't even know that was a wholesale deal for 4 more years after that.
Wow.
Because I just went and got the money and bought and sold it after that, right? Because I didn't have the money. This is what you do, money. And then people gave me money. The heck with that? Just going to go buy and sell. It's super simple then. Don't have to do any of this weird stuff. So that was the first one. Little rough, but got it done.
That's awesome. So
Nice.
when you switched over to doing when you actually got your license, how did that go? What was your first transaction when you actually had your license to? Was it you said you were doing listings only? Did you how did you get that first listing?
That's such a great question. Well, it is great being a listing agent, but what's obvious is you have 3 to 5 years of inertia and competition to overcome.
Yeah.
So it's you got to cross the desert, which is why most people go with buyers. The great thing about buyers is it's money today. It's literally money to, maybe not in this market, it might be money in a few months, but you get my point, right? You don't have to wait for somebody to
Yep.
decide to sell.
Yep.
They're in the market now willing to buy. You just got to find them something. If you forsake that, you have a desert to cross. So, first of all, I learned my lesson from, losing everything twice before. And the wife and I live cheap, real cheap. We own a house, all cash in Detroit, cars, all cash, everything like that. We could afford to humble ourselves and take a pretty big step back, which is what I did. Wasn't very comfortable. I don't know if I read for everybody, but we've been through hell and back twice. A step back is nothing, really.
Yeah.
Just didn't feel like it was anything. It's just what I had to do to pursue my goal. And then, since I mostly worked with other investors, I sat down and I said, target 20 people. I'm like, how am I going to target 20 people? I wrote down 20 people I thought I could. I've had flip before and I had wholesale, that I can help them in their flip or wholesale business. And then I reached out to them all personally and said, hey, I want to help you in your business. A lot of people said no, believe it or not. Several people said yes. A lot of people are still in business today. Several of them doing great. And out of that, this is the funny thing about life. I ended up doing business with about half of them, but out of that, 3 of them, because this takes like 6 to 10 months, 3 of them giving me something like 60% of my business over the next 3.5 years. So these were with flippers and wholesalers. And I was just, having made a lot of mistakes and done a lot of things over, at this point, it's like 13, 14 years, I had some things to these people that I could offer was valuable. And I gave it without expectation of return. Although, of course, I knew if you do that, if you show people you care about their business, their life, they will often reciprocate and compare and give you the shot that they wouldn't necessarily otherwise give a new person. But I also had an advantage. I was a new real estate agent, new to real estate, right? So I just had to demonstrate a new proficiency, and it worked. I did, well, my first year, I think I did 75 open houses. I did multiple every weekend, called everybody I know, I run a Renegade Detroit Investors, which is a local meetup. I went to everybody else's meetup, tried to be everywhere just to speed up. So I didn't have to starve for 3 to 5 years. So I can 2 years. And that's about what it was. I starved for 1.5 years. It wasn't that bad of starving, but it wasn't going anywhere on vacation or anything, right? Like bills got paid, everything happened. Yep. But it was like, it got a little hairy here and there because the money doesn't always show up on the listing side when you want it to, right?
Yep.
That is the great buyers that bring it up. You can go out and get a buyer today and close in 4 to 6 weeks and get paid. It's not always the case with listings that can happen. So yep. That's how I managed it. And I think being on the Dealy group too, I still don't know how to upload a listing. I still never done that. I still never logged in. I still never put any of my own stuff up on the internet. I decided I'm going to learn this business, do it and expand it. My job, door and everything else gets hired out so I could eventually get my, that's been, why I became an agent. And now it's an interesting mix of stuff. I really like being a listing agent. It's fun to do, and most people don't know how to negotiate too. So
yeah,
it's definitely a blue ocean strategy if you're used to the higher competition among investors.
Yeah.
So out of all the homes you've been to, which I'm sure has been quite a bit with investing that haven't been the best, but what is the worst home you've been to? What is the worst property?
Well, there's emotionally worse and physically worse. I'll give you both.
Okay.
This great wholesale deal, and it's always like one you're going to make like 25 grand on. People are stressed and they make bad decisions. Day of closing, go to do the final walkthrough. It's the middle of winter. Can't get the door open. Like, really can't get the door open. Anyway, jump the fence, walk around to the back and look through the sliding door. This lady had moved to Georgia and turned off the heat 2 weeks before closing.
Oh
no.
The upstairs plumbing froze. The entire
Oh,
basement filled with water, and like 2 feet of the first floor filled with water and froze, which is
wow.
why the door could not open. I got pictures of this somewhere. The worst I have ever seen. It was like a frozen waterfall down. Everything was frozen. It was that 2 weeks during that ice vortex thing. And I remember I even sent her emails and stuff to make sure the heat was on. That so bad. Emotionally, I went on 2 appointments. One where this lady was living with 6 kids in a duplex where the basement was half filled with sewage water.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, those are bad ones.
You see some like dark stuff. I've seen the burnouts and stuff like that, but that water one was pretty amazing. It is amazing how much damage water can really do. Like the house wasn't worth anything. Even in this market, it probably is crazy to tear the whole house down. That water just in 2 weeks ruined her entire investment. I remember the story she was telling me. She wanted to screw it up, which I thought was ironic because this was the house passed on to her. Like it was just a tragedy upon tragedy that I
Wow.
forget sometimes how life could be so cruel. But dang.
So
I mean,
how'd
I
you?
was out 25 grand, but that was her whole family's everything. I don't know what she
Yeah.
got for it after that.
Yeah. What did you? How'd you get in the house
Never did get initially the first time or after that.
after
After
that?
that.
Never got
yeah,
in it after
no.
it froze. Couldn't.
Yeah.
That's
Just peek through
crazy.
the windows
Literally
and saw
couldn't.
what
Would have had to
happened.
break a window and go. There's no way to get a door because all the and that's one of the weird things about it. It's like there's no opening out. There was a sliding glass door, but it didn't seem like a good idea to try.
Yeah, especially. I mean,
That
still
thing hadn't
sliding.
broken yet, just alone.
Right.
So
Just
I
leave it
just sent her
alone.
pictures. Like, man, I'm really sorry, but I can't buy this.
Yeah.
Wow. Good thing you did a final walkthrough.
Yeah,
Always,
right?
always do a final walkthrough, people. Always do a final walkthrough.
That's crazy.
So going forward in the next year or two, what kind of goals do you have?
Interesting spot. Through a realtor apocalypse. So I've been through two of not realtor but investor apocalypse, but they're similar. It's also a wholesaler and flipper apocalypse, right? 58% reduction in inventory, a 58% reduction in sales, but it's pretty close. So once the government stops handing out free money to people playing as agents again, things will change. Highly competitive. So I have strong relationships with a lot of investors, so I still have that business. What I am doing is staying lean, not spending too much money because it looks like we're going to have a few more years of super low inventory and start handing out the free money. Realtors will, investors will disappear, wholesalers will disappear, and I'm going to try and snag the talent as people go out, grow from there. So right now I'm just being conservative, keeping my spending check and in line, and just trying to make smart decisions until it's more clear. I think it's also possible that we could be in sort of inflationary type situation, which I feel, in a good position in 2 years if that happens, with a lot of people going out of business to take advantage of that as well. Basically, don't do anything stupid and screw it up, I think. And, should be good. And then on the investor side too here pretty quick, because if we are going inflationary, Arnold Schwarzenegger made his first multiple millions is by investing his bodybuilding winnings in California real estate before that inflationary period started. So learn from the past too. So I'm thinking about that as that happens as well.
Awesome. Well, how can people get a hold of you?
If you're interested in anything like that, or if you want a podcast, you go to renegadedetroit.com, renegade.com, or just look up my podcast, Renegade Detroit Investors Podcast. And I will say, not safe for work, not safe for kids. I've been good for this podcast, and I warned you ahead of time.
Yes, you did.
I'm a roughneck, and I was born rough, and you can class regardless how much money I make, and I make no effort to hide it. I am what I am, and I like it. If that bothers you, don't go. Otherwise, You might enjoy it. It's definitely more business and investor oriented, I will say.
Okay.
Sweet. Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Are these working? Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
It might be there.
it might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Find it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's
Red.
blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah. I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them to also give us a 5-star review if they're listening on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars,
review.
guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take
But-
4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
No, I don't think this is working.
This is not working.